Hey y'all, this is Southern Woods here, and welcome to another TSW podcast. It's been the first one in a long time, and this is going to officially kick off the series with my good friend Declan Moss. Say hi, Declan.
Hi guys, how you doing?
He will be my official partner for podcasts for the time being, maybe forever. We'll see how it works out. This is also the first podcast with the Blue Yeti mic, so please let me know how it is. A lot of firsts this time. This will also be the first time I will try to post my podcast other places as well. Wherever I post them, I will put in the description of this YouTube podcast video. Alright, so today we are going to be talking, to kick off this series with me and Declan, about night drives.
Night drives indeed. We've been on, how many is it now? 3, 4, 5?
Together, 2-man account. You by yourself, 2-man account. We've been doing them for a couple of years now. Basically, it is how it sounds. We go and we drive all night, sometimes on the interstate, sometimes taking back roads. Sometimes we have destinations, sometimes we don't.
And sometimes it gets creepy.
Yes, a lot of this podcast is going to be talking about weird experiences we've had on the road in the middle of the night. Let's see. I guess we should talk about our typical route. You want to talk about that?
Okay, so whenever I'm by myself, I go up through, take 575, this is in Georgia, of course. Take 575 till it branches off, keep straight all the way to Hiawassee, take myself up to Helen, and then turn around from there and come right back the same way. And this drive is pretty great for me. It's a straight line, but still has some really nice mountain curves on it and makes a really nice thrill. But however, whenever it's me and Alex going out, it really don't matter. We just go where we feel like going. Road take us wherever we go.
Yes. I was going to say, the first few times you've taken me on night drives, it was that typical route.
Yes, it was.
That was when I started getting comfortable with it, and then after a few times we started diverging. And lately, we've been eating out before we've gone on night drives. Get a nice full stomach.
Let's just go longer.
Yeah, let's just go longer. Before, we would usually drive until probably midnight, 1 o'clock, and then we get real hungry. And then it's like, oh, we gotta find like Waffle House or something.
It's only Waffle House.
Yeah, and then half the time we have a hard time finding an open Waffle House. One time, we must have gone to like 4 different Waffle House locations, and one just wasn't even there. It wasn't
even a building. It was literally nothing there.
It was nothing there. We went to an invisible Waffle House. We were getting real hungry that night. That was rough.
Mm-hmm.
So we've learned, eat a nice big meal before you go, and then you could snack on the way at gas stations and whatnot.
Yes, sir.
But we've had some weird experiences on night drives.
We have.
Like, the first one that comes to mind is one of the first night drives we went on, but we ended up somewhere on the perimeter of Atlanta. I don't think it was our Atlanta night drive, but we ended up where they have those walking bridges above the interstate. And when we were passing by, like just past under the bridge, it looked like, in my mind, someone was like dumping a body off the bridge.
But I mean, we kind of get these vibes every single drive. But that one, like, we literally, even before that, we've been driving down the road, and like, there's an unbelievable number of bridges in Atlanta. I'm pretty sure anybody who was around there knows of it.
Mm-hmm.
Spaghetti Junction, renowned for how atrocious it is. But even before that, we were pretty sure that we had seen somebody fucking bolt across a bridge, and we were like, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. What you doing running, bolting full speed across a bridge in Atlanta? But there's some creepy stuff out there, especially whenever you see somebody throw a body over a bridge. That's when it gets weird.
2 or 3 in the morning, man. That's when the weird people. We've seen multiple people just walking in the middle of the road before.
Yeah.
It's like, you shouldn't be doing that at night.
It's certainly, you start asking yourself, you're like, is it the fact that I'm actually seeing somebody, or is it the fact that I've been in a car since 8 p.m. and it's currently 2 a.m. I'm not even on the way home yet? Is my mind just playing tricks on me, or did I actually just see that shit?
Yeah, we've had some interesting encounters. Like when we thought we saw there's someone, they're driving on the wrong side of the road. That's what it was, right?
Were they?
Maybe. They were driving on the wrong side of the road, and then they were like stopped on the side of the road, and it was weird.
What happened was they weren't driving on the wrong side of the road, but their car was parked facing the wrong side for the side it was parked on. So we were on the right hand side, and then their car was parked to our right, but still facing towards us where it shouldn't have been. And the guy was just standing on the outside of the truck, looking over the edge.
Yeah, that's what it was. He was looking over the edge of the fucking guardrail. So we're like, is this dude dumping a body? That's one of our go-to brains. Yeah, we were in rural West Georgia, I believe, in this one, because we're close to Alabama on that drive.
But there's surely one thing though: we are not afraid to call the cops.
We're not afraid to call the cops.
But the fact of the matter is, you don't want to call the cops for no reason.
Yeah.
But I know one night we actually did call the police. We were, what is that?
Toccoa.
We were right near Toccoa College, in the town of Toccoa, and we drove by. On the left side is an open field, but there's trees in front of it. You can still it's a field behind it though. This lady is sitting next to a minivan. No, she's not sitting. She's standing. All the doors are open. The trunk is open, and she's just standing there like with fucking gloves on. And I was kind of like, this just looks. Weird.
She had fucking like surgical gloves on or something, and then all the doors in the van were open, as you said. There was like, I don't know, it looked real weird. Like, what are you doing? It was like 2 in the morning. What are you doing outside your van, just parked on the side of the road where there's like fucking nothing but forest and fields? It was weird.
We drove by twice.
We drove by twice to get a better look,
just to see what actually going on, and both times we were just left dumbfounded. So finally we were like, you know what, this is just weird. We were like, if we call the cops, it's not going to matter. They'll come check it out, blah, 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 blah. So we call the police, and in Toccoa, they have nothing better to do at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
So I
mean, they were there quick.
They were there really quick, and it was like 3 different vehicles, 3 different police cruisers. And what happened was, I assume it was a domestic dispute, because soon after we drove by again just to see what was going on. And the lady was no longer alone. It was her, like 3 police officers, and then another guy as well. And we saw a house on the other side of the road which we hadn't seen before.
Yeah, because we were so focused on the left side of the road.
So we used to assume it was a domestic dispute going on. I know that I've seen a few things without you, but one of the things still with you though was one night when we were driving. And we took the interstate a while off, and then we got into some back streets. And we were not anywhere hilly. It was just all fucking flat. And we were just taking turns and turns and turns. And I'm using Waze. So I have Waze on in my car just to show me the speed limits of the areas I'm in, and then just so I can see if the road we're turning onto dead ends or not. So I look at Waze, and we're heading down this road, and we pull off next to a church. I'm like, we're going to try this road. So like a dumbass I am, it's like 2 in the morning, I gun it down the roads and everything, going like fucking 40, 50, within like, right as I enter the road. And pull up to the church, I gun it for a second, and then I'm like, shit. Because in front of me, there was no road. Waze just said there was a road. But in front of us, what we saw was just a sheer cliff that looked like it went onto a road below the cliff, but I can guarantee you that shit was not a fucking road.
Yeah, like even if it was such a steep drop off that you might as well be driving off a cliff. Mm-hmm. Like, Waze was trying to kill us.
That's really what it felt like.
Because if you gunned it 40, 50 off of that, I mean, we're going for a little ride in the air. Might as well be in an airplane. That was one. I still wanted to go down it for a second, but it just seemed, because it was by a church and a cemetery. That's the other thing. It was in a cemetery, basically. It was one of those roads you drive down and you may not be driving back home.
My vehicle's certainly not 4-wheel drive, so if I get stuck somewhere, we're going to be spending the night there.
No, yeah, probably. That was one of those roads that stuck with me for a while. Let's see.
We went to Atlanta once.
We went to Atlanta. That was a funny story.
I think that was probably our best drive in the terms of it, like, besides being, like, the creepy type of drive. Like, the one that we like creepy drives. But at the same time, when we went to Atlanta, it was different. It was certainly not a creepy drive. And I know that at one point I had to get gas, and that was a fun experience.
Yeah, it was, like, almost 2, 3 in the morning. We pull up at this 24/7 gas station, and we're in the heart of Atlanta, so I mean, we're the only white dudes there. Okay?
Yeah, exactly. The only white dudes there. And to keep in mind, I don't drive a terrible car. I drive a 2015 Jeep Cherokee. We pull up to the gas station, and I am in the cheapest vehicle there.
Oh yeah, there were Maseratis, Corvettes, all sorts of nice fancy luxury and sports cars. Like, I don't know if it was like a rapper meetup, I don't know, but this man Declan dressed head to toe in hot pink. I'm over here dressed head to toe in camo with a big old blade on my side. Only white dudes there.
There was a line for the bathroom, and we were chilling there, and this guy walks up, full in like this designer drip. I'm like, dude, I really love your outfit. He's like, thanks, man, I appreciate it. We just talked there for a second. I was like, this is just. It just felt weird being in Atlanta at 2 a.m.
Good chill environment.
Yeah, it honestly kind of makes you think, like, when people talk about how big, like, the race differences and everything like that. Mm-hmm. Like, we literally pull up in Atlanta, we pull up at a gas station, and there's no unease anywhere. Like, literally everybody's just chilling out, having a good time, and literally there's nothing off at all.
Exactly. Like, it was a good time, and, you know, this world these days. trying to make it seem so hot and so divided when it really isn't. Just a couple of white boys from the burbs just show up in middle of Atlanta gas station with a bunch of other guys. Not the same colors, but it was a vibe. It was great. Fucking nice ass cars.
They were really nice.
But
I was envious.
I know. I was like, man, can I have your Maserati? Like, but that was a nice drive. Another thing that made that drive nice is we like to get lost sometimes in, well, obviously in the heart of fucking Atlanta. Left, right. You're just getting more lost. You're getting lost in the fucking skyscrapers or the fucking hood, anywhere.
At one point, we were just trying to find the next place. We were trying to get, I think, back on the interstate. Just
trying to get out of Atlanta.
Yeah, just get to like the next exit, something like that. And I take a left. And I'm like, you know, this is a really big, like, left-hand turn. And because it's 6 lanes, take a left, and all 6 lanes are one way. I'm driving the wrong way. But you know, it's 2 a.m., so I'm like, there's nobody coming, so obviously I pull a U-turn across all 6 lanes, and I'm just kind of like, you know, I couldn't do this in the daytime. I couldn't. It would just stress me out too much.
Oh, yeah. So in the daytime, 6 lanes, 6 different cars coming at you. But yeah, that was a good ride. You have had a real creepy experience alone on one of your night drives in the mountains that I was not a part of. Kind of envious, but maybe not. Why don't you tell it?
So I started my drive, and it takes the full drive just to get to where I go to turn around. Takes almost 3 hours. But so I get up near Hiawassee. Actually, I was just passing through Hiawassee, and I came across just a hunk of meat in the road. Now, from what I assume it's just where a deer has been hit by a semi, because there are semis that go up and down that mountain all night. And so I just assumed it was a carcass of a deer, but that thing was just mutilated right in the center of the lane. And I'm just like, you know, I was already getting bad vibes, but I was like, I'll keep going, whatever. So I keep driving down, and then I start headed over to Helen from Hiawassee, and I usually roll all my windows down, have my music blaring, just vibing out, and then all of a sudden, my music doesn't just stop. My music goes to the next song, but it just happens to be a song that has like a really, really long startup, so there's no noise at the beginning, and so all of a sudden I just hear running next to my car. I'm on a 2-lane road, nobody else is out here, it's fucking probably midnight at this point, and because I left at about 10 o'clock that day. And so I hear running alongside my car, and I'm like, huh, alright. So I turn the volume down on the vehicle, and still going, and I can just hear it. I hear the running, and I come across these deer in the middle of the road. And they don't, like, obviously deer, they'll say like fucking deer in headlights, just stand there still looking at you. But I mean, they can usually go away if you honk at them or flash your lights at them, whatever. These deer said no. So I'm just sitting there, still, not moving, as I look at 4 deer staring at me in the middle of the road. And I hear the noise running up next to me after turning my music down all the way. And I'm kind of like, what the fuck is going on? So I just, you know, I inch forward, press the horn on, and flashlights finally move out of the way. And so at this point, I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to be up here anymore.
At that point, when the deer moved out of the way, were you still hearing what was running?
I was hearing something along the side of the woods. So it was on the opposite side. So I'm on the right-hand lane, there's a left-hand lane, and then there's the woods from that. Because to my right is like a cliff. Not a cliff, but it's really steep.
Yeah.
So it's to my left, which is also really steep. But the fact I could hear it running, I don't know if, obviously, I was probably just going crazy at this point, just thinking of some random stupid shit. But, the deer finally moved, and I haul ass. I normally go fast, but that night I went a little bit faster, and definitely probably ruined my brakes. But, and then, so, I get through Helen, and after you come through Helen, this isn't going to Helen from Hiawassee. You go a little bit further up as if you're gonna go to Clayton, then you go to Helen from there. But so after you get through Helen, you get to some really, really sharp turns, and on one of them, I look in front of me, I'm like, what the fuck is that? And it's a bear. It is a bear. It's a bear cub, actually, is what it is. And so I'm flying down the road, and I see the bear cub. I slam on the brakes. I almost come in contact with him. And I was just kind of like, what the fuck? All of a sudden, Mama Bear comes running across the road to her baby, and I'm like, I feel like I was just like an inch away from getting mauled to death by a black bear if I had hit the baby, because I would have for sure stopped. All my windows are down, and I would have just been clobbered by a black bear.
Motherfucker would just dive into your car.
So, so I just decided, I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to do anything anymore. I was like, I had the windows rolled down, I let the music blare, and I just kept the speed limit, and I took my time going home. I got home safely. But all I can say is that night drive, the entire time, just bad vibes. Bad vibes. I still go on that same route, but I mean, it's just hitting different sometimes.
It's a weird sequence of events.
It is.
That you had. You come across this mystery flesh of meat on the road. That's always a little disconcerting. I mean, probably roadkill of some sort, but still like, okay, just a pile of flesh on the road. And then you're driving and your fucking song goes to the next one, and during that silence you hear something run up along your car, and then there's a group of deer in the road and they're just staring at you and won't move for a while. And then you see a bear. Just a weird sequence of events. Probably get you on edge for sure. But that's the thing of those night drives, especially depending on where you are, how late it is, how long you've been driving. Once the anxiety of an event, or even just hearing something sets in, it sets you on edge so much more, because you're sleep deprived, it's late at night, it's dark, and it really gets to you. Sometimes you do see things for sure, definitely in your head, but they're fun though. I enjoy going on night drives.
I really enjoy them too. And one thing that has happened though is we have really decreased the frequency we go on them, mainly because
gas.
Yeah, well, gas and school. Yeah. So me and Alex are. Before I wasn't in college, I was taking a break from the fall semester. I started back in spring. So whenever I first started back into college, we didn't have any time to go on the night drive. So we usually just take the breaks that we get, and then me going back to school this summer to catch up on some classes. We aren't going to have all the time. We're probably going to do 2 more night drives this summer. Yeah. So it's decreasing in frequency, but honestly, when that happens, it just makes you enjoy them a little bit more.
Oh, yeah. It makes you appreciate the moment and the drive all that much more. Honestly, I think it keeps us more awake, because we know that it's not going to happen for a while. Yeah, not happen
again, yeah.
When we go on them like fucking every other week, it seemed there for a little stretch, I think it really messes with you a little bit.
But it's also a great way to get to know somebody. Because, I mean, like,
all you do is talk.
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, like, when you're sitting in a car, me and Alex have known each other since kindergarten. Yeah. And we're both 20 years old. Yeah. So, I mean, we've known each other for the better half of almost 2 decades now.
Yeah.
And whenever you're sitting in a car for 10 hours, you have to talk to that person.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you just turn the music up, it's kind of like, do they feel like I'm ignoring them? Blah, 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 blah. You know, it's a whole list. So you end up just talking the entire time. And it gets to the point where we'll be sitting there, like, don't know what to talk about. So we just go, all right, what's your top 3 favorite desserts?
Oh, yeah.
What's your top 3 favorite superpowers? We just talk about, like, random stuff threes. Like that. Yeah, a lot of top
so
threes.
Many top 3 questions. Top 3 least favorite, top 3 favorites, would you rathers, all sorts of stuff like that. And that's really... gotten us to know each other a little bit more.
Yeah.
Although half the stuff you end up forgetting on the night drive. But
because it's 2 a.m. and you're already tired.
But a lot of that, just a lot of storytelling, reminiscing, talking about life. I mean, it's definitely, it's a stress reliever for sure.
It is.
It's a way to just vent about what's going wrong.
Yeah.
You know, what you're concerned about in the world, in the future, where you want your life to go. Because obviously we're in that weird phase. We're in college. We don't exactly know what our path is going to be here in the next few years.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully I'll be a successful YouTuber, podcaster, whatever, and
always hope
I could just live off of that, but realistically may not happen, so it's just a good way to talk and just, yeah. But we've done all sorts of stuff. We've done Mad Libs, we've showed each other a lot of new music we've showed each other. Declan listens to a lot more different music than I do, and then I listen to a lot more different music than he does. But combined together, we listen to so much different music.
Yeah, and we usually devote like a certain amount of time. Like for me, since I'm the one driving, Alex doesn't care as much. I'm usually the one who's in charge of music for a lot longer. But we literally set aside 2 hours each night drive for him to play his own music, and like it's literally just him showing me new music to listen to. So I mean, I literally vibe out to it. But even half the time we're driving, it's like you're not even listening to the music.
Oh yeah,
like you're literally just talking.
Sometimes we'll go in stretches where you just turn the music off, roll the windows down, just listen to the atmosphere outside and talk, and especially on those quiet, desolate like mountain roads and stuff, when you have the windows down, no music. It's a whole different vibe.
Yes, it is.
And sometimes it's kind of creepy. Sometimes it's just not. It's just kind of calm, peaceful. But we've been everywhere. We've been through the mountains. We've been on the countryside, in the city. We've gone to North Carolina. We've gone to Tennessee, Alabama. I mean, we've driven a lot through the state. Like if there was an app or something that showed you all the roads you've covered in the state, or like how
miles upon miles. Oh, I don't even know at this point how many miles it could be.
Yeah, how many different side roads we've been on, everything. Like we've been through a lot. But speaking of talking about that, where's some of your favorite places we've gone through or stopped at?
I don't remember where it is, but it's the first night drive
I think we ever went on.
No, what did we ever went on? Because I know that like first three we did my same.
Yeah, we did the same route each time.
Route. And then the first time we did something different though. We ended up at this area, and this is a really weird area. It's on. There's 2 lakes next to each other over there, and I think it might have been 1 lake. I don't really know. But we come across the edge of a. I don't even know if I call it a mountain, but it's a really steep area, and there's 2 lanes of the road. One is just closed.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's the one closest to like the hill that's closed.
Yeah.
And there's a light that's just red and says 1 car at a time. And I'm kind of like, well, so we stop for a second. The light doesn't change. So in my mind, I'm kind of like, maybe I'm just stupid, whatever. So we go along. There's not another car. But it was kind of interesting because like you could look around, and even at night, it was kind of serene.
Yeah.
Like it was something a lot different. I'd never even seen that part of Georgia before.
It was close to Tennessee. I think that was one of the times that we went into Tennessee for a minute. So I think it was close to the border of Tennessee. But that whole road, because as he said, it was a 1-lane road because they cut the other lane off with cones. It basically made me think of all those videos you see of like in foreign countries where you have the 1-lane mountain road and you're just going, because that's what it was. We were on a mountain on this just 1-lane road because the other side was blocked off, and after the cones, it's just cliff.
Yeah,
it's cliff. If you drive off, you're
probably gonna die.
You're probably gonna die. And the fact that it was such a long stretch, 1 lane, and if there was another car, I don't know what we would have done. One of us would have to reverse all the way back, and that would have been kind of sketchy. Either that or fucking move the cones out of the way and just let them through. But that was where I thought where you were going was one of our first night drives. I don't know where we stopped. It was by some sort of building, but we stopped and we looked over the side of the road, and again, it was like a ravine or a cliff.
That's the normal route, but rather than going to Helen, it's going to Clayton.
Gotcha.
So rather than taking the right to go to Helen, you just keep going to go to Clayton. There's a gas station where I always turned around at, and that's where that was.
That's where that was.
And that was weird because for me, I had never gotten out of the car right there. So I always use that as my turnaround point. I would just stop, put some of my favorite songs on cue, because going back from that way, you can fly those mountain roads, and you put on your favorite music, roll the windows down, and that is one of the most fun parts of the drive I've ever been on.
But yeah, it was just like a whole ravine, like of just ivy and trees. Like, it looks like we were looking down on a canopy of plants or trees. So like if you jumped, you wouldn't hit ground. You'd like fall through vegetation and then hit ground. That's what it looked like in the dark.
But you have to keep in mind that like below us are fully grown trees, and they aren't even halfway to the top of this fucking ravine. So I mean, you think to yourself, trees grow like what, 20? 30?
Small tree. I mean, some 50, 200 feet.
Oh, 50, 100 feet. Yeah, easily. Yeah. And none of them even came close to the top. So, I mean, it's like, oh, yeah, jump off. You're going to hit it from branches, and all of a sudden you have 100 more feet to go.
Yeah, it was... I want to go through there at day just to see what it like.
Yeah.
See what it's like. But at night, it was just it was an odd little piece of scenery. I do enjoy. Usually we don't end up at Helen together when we go on night drives, but the couple times we have gone through Helen's just such a beautiful town at night.
It is, especially during Christmas.
Christmas is very beautiful.
Christmas is very nice to go up through there.
All a bunch of lights, very calm, such a quiet town. Even at night,
well, especially like, I mean, it can
at night.
Yeah, on nights, and then if it's not on the weekend, if it's on the weekend, you can go up there till like 1 a.m. and there's still people out in the streets walking around and whatnot. But if it's a weekday or it's really, really late, it is really just a nice, calm place to drive through.
Oh yeah, and I love driving through Hiawassee only because
I know
all these night drives and everything have really made me want to move to Hiawassee or somewhere around there, Lake Chatoog, when I get older. So it's such a beautiful lakeside town. Definitely recommend driving through there, stopping by the lake. But yeah, we've seen a lot of cool places.
Yeah. And we're kind of fortunate to like live where we live because we're in the city, obviously, but we're not
in the burbs.
Yeah, but we're not so close to anything where we can't go to the mountains. Like you take an hour to drive north, and you're gonna get to some hills. And just like our previous night drive, like just our last one, we ended up in a mountain, and we were like, "How the hell is this only 30 minutes away from us?"
I don't know, it wasn't like a huge mountain, but it definitely had some elevation and some windy roads. It's called Horn Mountain, I believe. So that's
Horn Mountain. Yeah,
Horn Mountain. Yeah, I don't know what it looks like during the day, obviously, but at night it was a nice little mountain to drive around on. But yeah, I definitely think where we live in Georgia, just the North Metro Atlanta area, is such a good place to live. Especially through a driving aspect, like for our night drives, because we're an hour or so away from the mountains. We're an hour or so away from literal flat countryside. We're an hour or so away from the nearest part of Alabama, from Atlanta. Like, there are so many places you can get within a couple hours from here, and just a whole different scenery. Mountains, countryside farms, city, burbs. Like, we live in just the center of all of it, and just a couple hours each direction, you're in a whole different environment, a whole different vibe.
One thing that going on night drive does not do though is help me increase my patience with driving. So at night when you're driving, you don't have to wait for anybody because there's nobody on the road to wait for. So you come up to a light, if it's red, you go up to that light, it turns green. Yeah. Like there's no waiting for anybody or anything. So whenever you're driving during the day, it just kind of makes you go, you know what, this is stupid. Why am I waiting an hour in line in rush hour traffic to go 2 miles? So it certainly makes you mad, but also at the same time makes road trips easier.
Oh,
like I driving out to California from Georgia. That's a long ass drive, but I spent the entire time in my car switching off, driving, and it didn't feel like that was that bad at all. Like I feel like driving has become my second home pretty much.
Yeah, it's definitely a great hobby to have. I recommend if you're close friends with someone or even family member, it's something to try out. Maybe not now since gas is so high, but when it eventually hopefully comes back down. Like when we started doing it, I mean, gas was the upper dollar level, lower $2.
We weren't even at $2.
Like it was, we started at a great time to start doing it together because it was so damn cheap and you could go forever. Now it's like, well, $50-$60 a trip just in gas, just to drive around all night. But it's definitely a good hobby. Definitely, you get to know your car, get to know your area, get to know whoever you're driving with a lot better. We're going to be taking my little brother out our next drive.
Yes, we
First
are.
time having a 3-person night drive. That should be interesting. I don't know how it's going to go, but it's a vibe for sure. I was going to say another thing that one of our first night drives or earlier when we started doing that is always going northward on the interstate on your normal route. We'd see these lights in the clouds. We would see, and it looked like a spotlight, but we kept on seeing them, and just the directions we're going, we're like, what is this? What's going on? So finally one night, after a few times driving through, seeing it, and going like, what is this? We're like, we're going to find the source of these fucking lights. So we drove for half an hour, maybe an hour, around the interstate looking like we're
trying to get close to them.
Trying to get close to where the lights were coming from. Finally, we realized it was like a private airfield or something.
It's the it's not a private airfield. It's just a smaller one.
Smaller.
And it's one that we had no idea how to get to.
Oh, yeah.
And if you look at it like on your GPS or whatever, there's no access road to it. Like, there's nothing on saying how to get to this fucking airfield.
We tried so hard to get to the airfield, and we never could.
We just
but we definitely pretty much figured out that's probably where the spotlights were coming from.
Easily.
But at first we're like, what is this? What's going on? Where's it coming from?
Even if you don't have anybody to go with, like, just going on a night driving by yourself, like, it gives you... I started going the summer of my senior year in high school, so that's when I got my first, like, actual dependable job, like a paycheck every 2 weeks. So I knew for a fact I could afford the gas. And I know that I went several of those night drives, been on more than close to 100 by now. And I know that going on those night drives, like, it really lets you allow you to think to yourself. So, like, if you're not with somebody, like, if you're with somebody, like, that's great. It's really fun. But even now, I still go on night drives by myself. And it just offers you the opportunity to just really think about your life. And if you have, like, a decision you need to think about, you can put hours towards that decision. Like, you can really think things through. I mean, sometimes you don't. Like, I've still made some really stupid decisions even though I do that. But it's an opportunity.
Yeah, it's something you're lucky with since you have a nicer, more dependable car. I do not go on night drives by myself for multiple reasons. I'm sure I would enjoy it, and as he said, it would definitely offer me an opportunity to think about my life personally, introspective for hours. Since the only time I'm able to do that now, it seems like, is like in the shower. It's like
for hours.
Yeah, and we're like 10 minutes of thinking, and I was like, oh shit, I still have to wash myself. But yeah, it's definitely night drives is something I definitely recommend.
100%.
It's something because so when me and Declan have gone to the same school since we've known each other.
Yep.
And we were strictly like school friends for a long time. You know, we didn't hang out outside of school, partly because for a long time we didn't have our own cars, and I don't know why we didn't really hang out outside of school, but we were mostly like best school friends. And then once he started doing night drives, that was sort of our way to hang out outside of school.
Yeah, it kind of bridged the gap.
Yeah, because before we didn't really hang out. I mean, sometimes we'd go out to eat together, but other than that, night drives were what we did. That's how we hung out. But since then, I feel like it was definitely a segue into, especially after you got back from the military, it was our way to...
Much greater friendship.
Yeah, and explore different things. Like, you started going fishing with me, and well, obviously now you're part of the channel as the main filmer and whatnot. Idea, podcast partner.
I'm an affiliate.
Yeah, I mean, basically. But yeah, for a while, night drives were all we did outside of school together. So it's been something that just really defines us, I guess, especially you. Like, I think Declan was like, oh, night drive. Night drive.
It's certainly helped evolve our friendship. Like, it really has.
I think it's... Because it's not a road trip. Like, it's not your typical road trip to a destination.
No, you're just going.
Yeah, you're just going. You're going with the flow. You're having a good time. And, if you're over it, you drive back. It's not like a boring "are we there yet" road trip, because you're just going and you're driving and you're talking and listening to music and having fun. But yeah, I mean, we've seen some great places. I'm sure we've encountered we definitely have encountered some cool people, whether it be like Waffle House employees or, in a gas station.
Yeah, random employees at gas stations showing out.
I mean, that's all we can really meet, I guess, since that's all the places that are
It's
open.
just kind of interesting that, like, you're out there that late at night and there's people working.
There's still other people, yeah. There's other people, and there's been a couple of times where I think we've encountered people doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, I think what we're doing, it has to be. I know several times we've seen people pull up at the weirdest times in the weirdest places, either by themselves, two people, whatever. I mean, it just kind of puts in perspective how many people there are, actually.
Yes. It's crazy, and we've seen some weird things. From possible bodies being flung off of bridges to just seeing things on the side of the road that don't make any sense.
Occasional drunk driver.
The occasional drunk driver.
Which we do call the cops on.
We do. Or just driving around and ended up in the same place over and over again. Like our last night drive, we ended up in Fairmount over and over. No matter how hard we tried and how many different roads. It wasn't until we just got on the interstate and drove for like half an hour until we didn't end up back in Fairmount.
But that made it even worse though, because we literally went out avoiding the interstate. We headed out avoiding it that night.
Yep.
And we ended up on my normal route at the end of everything, which really kind of made me mad because we ended up coming to the same spot two times to Fairmount, and then 2 times to a different place, the same place. Ranger?
Yeah.
So we ended up in the same place twice, 2 times. And it just, at the point we were like, okay, we need to stop doing this. We just kept going on the night drive. And I was like, it just kind of ruined it at the end, I'm not going to lie. Like, it was still a nice night drive.
Yeah.
It was just one of the more annoying ones.
Yeah, annoying because, like...
I got chased down by a fucking trucker.
Yeah, a wrecker. A wrecker, trucker, tow truck.
Same difference.
all the same thing. Because I think someone hit a deer, and we're driving down this road trying to get away from the fucking town.
It's in a mountain.
Yeah, and this truck just starts riding our ass.
And I was going. So the speed limit is 55, and whenever I'm driving with Alex, I always go under the speed limit unless somebody behind me. So if there's somebody behind me, I'll go above the speed like I normally drive. So I kicked it up to 65 when he was behind me. He was still gaining on me. Now 65, like he's refusing to change lanes and go around me.
Yeah. And note that this time we didn't realize it was like a tow truck.
Yeah,
he didn't have lights on.
He had the orange light bar, which we couldn't see, but he didn't have them turned on.
Yeah.
So I'm going like 65 miles per hour, and he's coming up right on me, refuses to change lanes and go around me. Saying 65 miles per hour, it's too fast to stop and pull in somewhere if the person behind you is right on your ass going that fast as well. So I just increased my speed. We got to like 90 miles per hour. Before we ended up coming up on a police car in the middle of the road with the lights on, and finally I was able to slow down. And the trucker behind me just stayed there behind me with no lights on or anything. And then all of a sudden his lights come on, he goes around me. So you know what? Actually, he might have thought it was a police car.
Maybe. I don't know.
Because if he had stopped behind me, I don't know.
Man, he was trying to figure out what to do. I have no clue. But for a minute, when we didn't realize it was the tow truck and just this big old truck just trying to ride your ass, it seemed like speeding through them roads. It was like, what the hell is going on? I thought it was trying to run us off the road for a minute.
It was very not fun.
It was very, probably the most tense I've felt on a night drive. Because, like, we were going so fast and he was just keeping up with us. And like,
and we were
why?
Keeping our eyes locked on the side of the road.
So many deer. That was also, last night drive, the most deer we've seen. Combined. Like, 5 or 6, maybe even 7 times where I was like, deer, side of the road, watch out.
It wouldn't just be a single deer. It would be
like a whole group of
8 of them.
Yeah, it was like, that was a very stressing. We left, that was one of the earlier times we've left to go back. It was like 2:30 when we went back home.
Yeah, we ended up getting home. I know I got home at 4, but that's just because whenever the normal way I go home was blocked off by construction, I'd turn around and go away. Yeah. So I know I would have gotten home at like
I got home a little bit after 3, yeah. And all that time trying to get away and get further away. And when we finally turned back around, we were only 45 minutes away from home, which is so weird. But just wow. Another thing that I want to mention is I like all these little downtown areas we end up driving through.
Yeah, I know.
Just every town's downtown, I feel like we hit. Like, downtown Griffin was a weird one. It
was
2 in the morning. It was like downtown Griffin. It was buzzing.
Yeah,
it was buzzing. There were people everywhere.
Mount Airy, Georgia.
That's a good one.
It's a factory town. So the town was alive at night, but only because of the factory. Yeah. People were out at like, it was 3 a.m. by the time we were going through this, and people were out and about getting gas, going to work at the factory. They had a downtown area, but it was just kind of dead. Yeah. Like, it was just like, it even looked like if it had been daytime, it looked like it wouldn't have been too much going on there.
We've driven through a few factory towns. I think
we have.
Ranger's also a factory town.
I think it was.
It looked like
it had some industrial.
It had some industrialness to it.
But Mount Airy was definitely the definition of a factory town.
Oh yeah, and there's some nice schools, nice colleges and high schools up there.
Oh yeah, there
just
are.
secluded in the mountains. It's like, wow. I don't remember names of a lot of them. I know, Toccoa Falls we drove by.
I know that another thing that's kind of neat is fucking near Hiawassee. What is it? That college up there? It's private.
Not Barry. No. I know what you're talking about, but I can't put my finger on it. I think it's the same one I wanted to talk about. But...
Yeah, either way, we're going to ignore it because I'm just talking about if you don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, and, don't want to spread no lies.
But one thing for sure is that you got to be careful on night drives. Like, for me, I'm always one who drives. Like, I always drive. I mean, like, I've done these a million times. And because it's just preferred that way. And so, I always start my night drive off. I'll drive for about 30 minutes. If not, it's just start off with it. But I take a 5-hour energy just to have the shot going, just to keep the energy going. I don't always need it at the beginning, but I usually take it just to be safe. And then pick out a really nice ice-cold drink, like preferably with ice in it. That way it stays cold for a long time. Because the cold drink will keep you awake. And then grab another either energy drink or 5-hour energy just for later in case you need it.
Oh yeah, because staying awake sometimes is really hard. Yeah. Especially if you're the driver, you need to.
And if you're by yourself. Like, if you're by yourself, it's like, with Alex, we can literally talk. And if you're talking to somebody, it's going to be a lot to go to sleep.
Yeah,
like,
you're keeping your mind open. Yeah, you're keeping the mind flowing.
But if you're by yourself, you need to be careful. Because I know there were several times that whenever I went first on by myself, I can probably count on more than one hand how many times I almost killed myself by falling asleep at the wheel. So something you really have to be careful of. Like, if you're going to go on a night drive by yourself, start minimal and keep growing exponentially. Like, this time, me and Alex have gotten to the point where we can leave at 8 p.m. at night and get home at 6 or 7 in the morning without even caring about going to sleep.
Yeah, like, it's a weird thing to be like, oh yeah, like being a noob or a rookie at it, but it's for real. Like, if you've never done anything like it before, you're going to have a rude awakening. Well, a rude awakening when you're flying off the road, because you have to train your body and your mind a little bit to stay up that late. And not even just staying up late, but while driving.
Because even before that, I stayed up till ridiculous hours of the night, playing video games, reading books, whatever, or just watching TV or something like that, literally until 2 or 3 in the morning. But doing something like that is a lot different than driving. Like, driving still drains energy out of you, because you're having to focus a lot more on something.
Yeah. It's weird to say, but especially just if you go on the same routes or where you are, it's almost an art. It's almost an art in a way, especially just depending on how you drive and everything or how you want it to go. Like, it's an art, and it's something that does take practice. I mean, obviously, I'm always the passenger, so I just have to make sure I stay awake just for the sake of...
Stay awake and having the passenger point out animals that... Even if... I tell Alex, I'm like, listen up. If you don't like the way I'm driving, tell me, and I'll change it. Because the fact of the matter is, I'm going on a night drive, but we're both supposed to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So if I'm going faster than he would enjoy it, because by myself on my night drives, I drive pretty stupid. So if I ever drive with him, I don't want to make him uncomfortable, because that defeats the purpose of the night drive. And then at the same time, I tell him, I still get pissed off at him sometimes, but I still tell him that, hey, if you see something, let me know. Like, even if it's obvious, let me know. And like, even on our last night drive, you pointed something out, and I was like, oh yeah, like, I can't see that, blah, blah, blah. I said something else to you, and I was like, I apologize. I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, I asked you to point stuff out for me, keep doing it. Because I don't want him to just not do it, and then all of a sudden I hit a fucking gear because I'm a dumbass.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of the teamwork, actually, what it is.
It is a teamwork to stay awake, stay alert, and keep it nice.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, night drives are just great. Definitely recommend it to anyone. Whether you're by yourself or with other people.
Yeah.
I think we should leave this podcast off and just not like a few tips, but a few ending notes for people who want to do it. Like, for one, I would say enjoy yourself. You know, talk, get to know whoever you're driving with, or you've known them your whole life, or someone fairly new, and just be courteous to each other. As Declan said, Don't just keep the music up the whole time. Turn it down. Make sure, maybe they want to hit up the aux or the Bluetooth. If you're driving erratic and they say something, just make it a nice, courteous bonding time.
Yep. And whether by yourself or somebody else, use the time to grow.
Yeah.
Learn about yourself, learn about them, make some decisions. Because even if sometimes it's really nice sitting here with my best friend in the car and having something going on in my life, something going on in his life, and we get a second opinion on the matter.
Mm-hmm.
We ask them, hey, this is what's going on, and you get a second opinion on it. And that way you really know how to gauge the situation.
It's very introspective as well, especially when you're driving alone, I assume. But yeah, just the other thing, safety-wise, as Declan said, start slow. May drive an hour, just an hour and back, and then work your way up little by little. Just know your limits, know your car. Don't super speed in an area you're not familiar with.
Actually, just for the sake of it, follow the speed limit.
Follow the speed limit. I mean, if you're into the rush, just save it for when you know the road's a bit better. It's really just be safe, enjoy yourself. Be courteous, look out for animals, and in time you'll have probably great memories, whether it be scary stories to tell, funny things to say, getting to know whoever you're with, getting to know yourself.
Or a new scar from that car I see.
Oh, don't say that. But I think this was a good topic to talk about our first podcast.
I think you got a lot of juice out of it.
It's something that we've had so many memories of, and we have so much experience with, and we are gonna probably end it here because we're running up to 50 minutes. I definitely want to keep the first one under an hour.
Yeah, for sure.
But I hope y'all enjoyed this podcast.
And if you're still listening, thank you.
Yeah, if you made it all the way to the end, congratulations. Big thanks to you. If you want to hear more podcasts from us, definitely let me know. It's something that I am interested in doing that I don't do often, but I know podcasts don't get many views or retention times just because, it's a commitment. Yeah. But if there's anything y'all want us to talk about specifically, any topics, let us know. If there's any critiques y'all have, let us know. And I hope y'all enjoyed this. Declan, did you enjoy yourself?
I actually quite did. I was kind of surprised how far we got along.
Yeah,
I brought up a lot of memories.
me and Declan just talk forever, so why not do it in front of a microphone? So, anyways, y'all take care. We are going to cut the mic now. Without further ado, the Southern Woods out.